Shalom in your heart and home, and welcome back to Acho Tea Talk. The last video I was talking about my birth during pandemic, and as you can see, I'm joined by the little one who was born, but I'm not gonna put her on camera any further than this little bit here, just to respect her privacy. When she's grown up enough to decide if she wants to be on the web forever, then I will let her do what she want to do. As you can see, she's greedy because she wants to eat, but she just ate, so I'm just gonna let her do what she want to do and get to making this video. Sorry about it taking so long. Truthfully, the technical difficulties is just being a mom and not having enough time. In the middle of recording the last video, my children just barged into the room, and I didn't really want to have that be a part of the video. So I'm gonna try to make it now. I'm sure you can hear them in the background. They aren't the quiet bunch, so I'll just get to the meat of it, to the thick of it. The last video was talking about me and my OB and the experience that I was having with my OB. And once a pandemic hit, the feelings that I had about my OB heightened. And then the questions about my care came up. And so I took the questions to my OB. The questions that I mentioned at the end of the video were regarding me having support during my labor, what was like the protocol to keep, not necessarily, I don't like quarantine, but I guess more sequestered, to keep the moms and the babies sequestered and separate from, you know, whatever was going on in the hospital environment. And my OB, her response was pretty simple, and it was, we're playing it by ear. And for someone like me who's a type A personality, playing it by ear isn't necessarily my jam. So it really stressed me out. So I started to feel really anxious because, now don't get me wrong, I completely understand the nature of birth. The nature of birth is that you can't plan. You can plan as much as you want, but it's going to come out however it comes out. You're going to have the experience that you have. But a plan for me, when I plan my births, I find that it anchors me and it gives me, it helps with my anxiety, because I know what's going to happen, but there's little details, and for me, details matter. And so she wasn't giving me no help with details, but she was just kind of like aloof and like not taking my concerns seriously. And so I was really anxious, and I called my best friend, and I was telling her about what happened, and she just reminded me to pray. And so I prayed and asked the Most High for guidance of like, what should I do? And so then my midwife from my previous birth ended up reaching out to me just to check in and see how I was. And I told her I was pregnant, and I told her everything that was going on. And she let me know right off the bat. She was like, I would love to be your midwife again. Why haven't you called me? And I said, my insurance doesn't cover home birth, because for my previous birth, I paid out of pocket. We paid the midwife out of pocket because our insurance doesn't cover. No insurance, unfortunately, that I've had thus far until recently covers home birth. So we talked and we went back and forth, and she's like, whatever you want to do, I'm here to support you. I would love to be your midwife. I just want to let you know that Medicaid now now covers home birth. You just have to not be with a PPO. So long story short, she and I worked worked it out, and I was able to have a home birth. So what is a home birth visit? What does a home birth midwife visit look like versus a doctor's office in a pandemic, in a situation with a pandemic? Okay, I'll give you an example of, and excuse me for fixing my bosom. I'm just trying to keep my modesty. It's it's a lot. So OB visit during a pandemic is you wait in your car until they call you to tell you that it's time for your appointment, and they shoo you through your appointment very quickly. Urine test, weight, blood pressure, quick, do you want to hear the baby's heartbeat? Okay, I'll see you back in a few weeks. That was my OB visits. So most of my time was literally sitting in my car waiting to be seen. Home visit with my midwife. She shows up on time. She texts me, I'm in the parking lot, I'm parking, I'll be up shortly. She comes in my house, she takes off her shoes, she already has on a mask, she sanitizes her hands, she greets my family already knows her from the previous birth. She sits down and we talk, she asks me how I'm doing. The conversation is more like natural. It's not, have you been taking your vitamins? It's like, oh, so I remember last visit you said you had indigestion. How's it going with that? Okay, so are you getting this and that and that? And she just knew how to talk. It was very organic. She always asked my permission before she touched me doing anything. She let me know what she was going to do before she did it. And so I started to feel at ease, of course. And so we discussed it, and I wanted to have a water birth because I had a water birth with my son prior to this birth, and it was so much less painful for me. And I have a theory as to why. I carry some heavy babies, and with labor, the gravity of being pulling the baby down, it hurts. It's heavy. My babies are heavy. It's terrible. So when I'm in the water and the contractions are happening, it's lighter, it's less painful, and it's just an ease on me. So for me, I knew I wanted to have another water birth. So we planned for a water birth. The midwife, I bought the tub from her. She had a pump. She had the essentials. We bought the kit, the home birth kit, everything. Everything was ready to go. I didn't feel any anxiousness. I was super ready. Couldn't wait to have this little bundle of joy. Oh. I want to do this quickly. I do want to give you guys the full story that you deserve to hear, but she's grouchy and I don't feel like re-recording, and I'm not the best video editor just yet. So I'm going to do this pretty fast and just tell this story. There'll be plenty more birth stories to come, plenty more videos to come. But we're just getting the thick, not the thick of it, the hang of it. See, I've already got company. Kion, no, thank you. Out. Close the door. That's my little guy. Okay, so I'm probably gonna edit that out just for respect of their privacy. But this went on a tangent and I don't like it. I'm gonna probably edit this out. Okay, so take 2. So everything is set and we're ready to have the home birth. And the day for birth comes, I go into labor and my contractions are coming really fast and they're really intense. And I'm trying to be quiet because everyone's asleep because it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when my labor starts. So I wake my sister up and I'm like, please fill up the tub because mama's ready to roll. And I'm bouncing on my ball and I'm walking back and forth and my contractions are just like excruciating. And the funny thing about it is, I don't know about anyone else, after 5 deliveries, 5 pregnancies, the contractions don't ever seem to like be just like less intense. And it's so funny to me that all pregnancies are different, but pretty much all labors are the same in intensity and experience, um, outside of like outside factors. I'm talking about like the internal experience of it. It's super intense, no matter how many babies you've had already. The length is shorter, which is nice, but the intensity of it is still there. So at first I was trying to be quiet, and then it just kicked in and it was like, listen, you don't have to be quiet. Roar if you want to roar. So I'm like, on the next contraction, I'm letting my voice ring, and my son wakes up and he's like, Mommy, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, letting him know that I'm in labor. He's like, okay. So he wakes up and he goes and sits where he wants to sit. And little by little, my contraction roars wake up my whole house. All the children wake up. My eldest, he was already awake because he was helping my sister fill the pool. Sorry for the bouncing. I know that's like, might be annoying to your eyes, but she likes to bounce. So, my sister and my son are filling up the pool. It's getting intense for me. It's getting real intense. I'm having contractions, and then I'm starting to feel the urge to push. And this is like an hour into my labor. So I'm telling the midwife, hey, I'm starting to feel the urge to push. So she's like, oh, we're on our way. That's her and her assistant. Want to give a shout out to my midwife, Becky, from Little Star Midwifery. You really did an amazing job, and I'll recommend you to anyone. Any mama who needs full spectrum home birth and just excellent care. So I'm walking down the stairs to get into the tub, and right at the foot of the stairs, my water breaks, and it's gross and gushy, and all that stuff. So then I get into I'm getting into the pool, because I'm like, guys, I can't take it anymore, and the pool's like a quarter way full, and I'm like, guys, I have to push, guys, I have to push. So they're filling up the tub while I'm contracting and pushing, because I'm already feeling the urge to push. And I didn't call the midwife. I didn't, because something in me was like, you're gonna have this baby right now before the midwife comes. So I reach down and I start to feel the head, and I'm telling my sister, I'm like, yo, you guys could stop filling up the tub. I gotta push now. I really need to push, and I need something to lean on, because like the tub, it's soft. The birthing tubs, they're firm, but they're soft, and I needed something to bear down on. So I asked my sister to come over so I could lean on her arm while I'm bearing down. And I'm bearing down, and with every contraction, I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and her head comes out. Baby girl's head comes out, and then it's just like head hanging out of my lady parts, and her head is hanging out, and the urge to push stalls, and all I want is for her to get out so that I can sit down, because my legs are so tired. So for 2 minutes, nothing's happening. So then I'm like, okay, let me sit up. So I sit up and I change my position. So then it starts to feel like the push again. So she's slowly coming out. I'm pushing, and she's slowly coming out. I'm pushing, she's slowly coming out. And she comes out, and she gives the baby cry, and I'm like, oh. So like, if you've given birth, do you know that sigh of relief that you experience after your last push and the baby is completely out of you? And so I'm sitting in the tub, and I have a couple towels wrapped around her to keep her warm, and waiting to deliver my placenta. And then my midwife comes in, And the rest is history. We it takes about, I want to say, 45 minutes for the placenta to come out, because I guess I was too relaxed in the water and I had to change my position. Once I changed my position, it came out. I went upstairs to my bed, laid in bed for like a couple of hours. We did the baby exam. We had skin to skin. I was so relaxed. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing like being at home in the safety of your space, in the safety of your sanctuary, which home is supposed to be, to bring another member of your family into the world. I do believe that from time to time there is a place for hospital birth, but pregnancy is not an illness. It's like the raison d'etre of women, like biological. It's a biological imperative, is what I'm trying to say, and it's one of the most natural things in existence. And it's when, I hate to say this because I know I'm going to have a whole bunch of frowners, but I don't hate to say it. You don't have a mechanic who's never driven a car. A man has no place in women's business. And I'm going to leave it there. Shalom in your hearts and homes. I'll see you next time. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. And the next video is probably going to be about like postpartum care. If you have any questions about postpartum care, post them in the comments and I'll answer them in the video. I have a lot of good postpartum care tips, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you. Once again, shalom in your heart and home, and have a wonderful week.